Welcome to the Health and Healing from the Inside Out podcast with Stephanie A. Wynn, an online health and wellness podcast where I, your host, will provide weekly wellness tips about inflammatory bowel disease, specifically Crohn's and ulcerative colitis. The Health and Healing from the Inside Out podcast is a mixture of special guest interviews from healthcare professionals, IBD survivors, Crohn's survivors, ulcerative colitis survivors, and community thought leaders. Be sure to select the subscribe button and let's start the health and healing process from the inside out. We are back for another episode of the Health and Healing from the Inside Out podcast. I am your host, Stephanie A. Wynn, and today's episode, we're going to talk about what is Crohn's disease and its symptoms. I know we've talked about IBD. I mean, you've heard that term for the last few episodes, inflammatory bowel disease, but we're going to really get down in the next couple of episodes and talk about the two types of IBD, right? So without further ado, we're going to get started. But before we get started, I like to talk about the renewing of your mind. In order to start the healing process, it starts with the healing of your mind. You have to have that growth mindset that I am healed. Like truly and really, I am healed. I'm healed. I believe that my healing is now, and I believe that all will be well. No matter what it feels like, no matter what it looks like, I understand. I've been there. So I know when you're diagnosed and you have a chronic illness and, it just seems like you're tanking, that is something that you don't want to hear. But I'm telling you, you have to change the way you think. So let's get right into this week's episode. Like I said, it's all about Crohn's disease and its symptoms. So Crohn's disease, you probably have heard this. Crohn's disease is a type of inflammatory bowel disease, that's IBD, that affects the digestive tract. It can occur anywhere along the digestive tract. It affects anywhere from your mouth to your bottom, right? And it also affects the small intestines and the colon. So the exact cause of Crohn's disease is not known, but it is to be believed to have a combination of genetic and environmental factors. So, it could be a hereditary thing. I know for me and my family, I have two cousins that have Crohn's disease, and they suffered with it for a while. I never knew that they had it until I was diagnosed, and I really found out that that's what they have. So again, it could be genetically, it could be, environmentally. And when I say environment, that means it could be, maybe you're living in a stressful environment. Maybe your household is stressful. Maybe there's things in your environment that you have to change, right? So let's talk about some of these symptoms. So the symptoms of Crohn's disease can vary from person to person. Each person is different with Crohn's disease, but it is very debilitating. I'm going to tell you that. I know because I am an IBD survivor. I was diagnosed 4 years ago with ulcerative colitis in my large intestines and Crohn's disease in my lower colon. So I can attest and I can say, hey, this is a mother. When I tell you IBD is a mother, it is a mother. This episode is brought to you by the Let's Talk Inflammatory Bowel Disease Health and Wellness Symposium, a health and wellness symposium hosted by the Stephanie A. Wynn Foundation, whose focus is on raising awareness of inflammatory bowel disease, also known as IBD, among African Americans who are disproportionately affected by this chronic illness. The goal of the symposium is to partner with healthcare community partners to support underserved African Americans living with inflammatory bowel disease in their pursuit to live a more quality life. This symposium, it is sponsored by our exclusive sponsor, which is Moffitt Cancer Center, who have come aboard to sponsor and believe in this symposium. We're going to have gastroenterologists there, mental health and wellness clinicians to speak about the importance of mental health when you're diagnosed with a chronic illness such as IBD. And in order for you to get on your journey of health and healing, we'll also have dietitians and nutritionists there to talk about your diet. Now, specifically for Crohn's and ulcerative colitis, it is definitely important. We'll have our exclusive community healthcare organizations, our financial exclusive well-being organization there, and we will also have a healthcare carrier there on site to sign you up for health insurance. Now, listen, this is not the normal symposium where you go and you hear a lot of people talk. We're actually getting things done on top of educating our community. One thing I do know is this: being diagnosed with inflammatory bowel disease, in being in the African American community, our treatment of healthcare is totally different compared to other cultures. And so we are wanting you to join us. Come join the conversation about the IBD healthcare disparities. This is going to take place again Saturday, March the 25th at 9 a.m. at Clearwater, Florida. And it's going to be at the Carroll Hotel. And the information is going to be in the show notes. Now, listen, if you're unable to attend in person and you would like to sponsor or you would like to donate to the cause, I'm going to drop the link in the show notes as well. Without further ado, we're going to get back to the show. And thank you for your time. Peace. So let's talk about some of the symptoms. Some of the most common symptoms include abdominal pain and cramping, diarrhea, loss of appetite, weight loss, fatigue, anemia, rectal bleeding, fistulas. These are abnormal connections between two parts of the body. Crohn's disease can also cause complications such as strictures, narrowing of the intestines, abscesses that's filled with pus-filled pockets, and bowel obstructions. Some people have bowel obstructions due to Crohn's disease. So if you're experiencing any of these symptoms, it is very important to speak with your healthcare provider. You know, it's so important to know our numbers. And here at the Health and Healing from the Inside Out podcast, you know, the healing starts within, right? And it begins with you. And so you have to create a healthcare team that understands your issues. So your provider may perform a variety of tests to diagnose Crohn's disease, including blood tests, stool tests, endoscopies, colonoscopies, and imaging tests. While there is no cure for Crohn's disease, there are treatments available to help you manage these symptoms and prevent complications. You know, treatment options may include also medications, changes in your diet and lifestyle, and surgery in some cases. I mean, I had to get biopsy after biopsy, colonoscopies after colonoscopies. And, you know, living with Crohn's disease can be very challenging. I was laid off of my job. You know, I was making a lot of good money, you know, and I really went through a lot. So again, Crohn's disease can be challenging, but with the proper management and healthcare support team, it is possible to lead a full and healthy life. If you or someone you know is living with Crohn's disease, be sure to seek out resources and support groups to help manage the condition and improve overall your quality of life, right? So again, take these tips. Like, here at the Health and Healing from the Inside Out podcast, we want to give you nothing but like really great information. And I understand when, you know, it's hard to even focus on anything else but feeling better. And to feel better, you got to tell yourself, I am getting better by the day. I am strong. I can do this. You know, my potential is endless. Like, I am going to be great. I am great, you know, and I have healing right now, you know, and I expect great things because I do believe that God doesn't want you to be sick. And so in order to get over this illness, you got to speak life into yourself. So I am your girl, Stephanie A. Wynn. And this episode, if this has been really helpful to you of what Crohn's is, leave a note, leave a comment. Again, we here at this Health and Healing from the Inside Out want to bring you nothing but some resources and tools. So stay tuned for our next series of, you know, breaking down what is IBD and the two common factors of IBD, and that is Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis. So I'm your girl, Stephanie A. Wynn. Until next time, peace. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Health and Healing from the Inside Out podcast, an online health and wellness podcast where I, your host, Stephanie A. Wynn, will provide weekly wellness tips about inflammatory bowel disease, specifically Crohn's and ulcerative colitis. Be sure to select the subscribe button and let's start the health and healing process from the inside out.